topic this evening, so please don't be belligerent. Who here knows about economics? Raise your hand. Supply, demand, right? Okay. Can anybody tell me what these three men have in common? John Maynard Keynes, Milton Friedman, and Ludwig von Mises.
They won the Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
Economics.
They're all economists, and they're all also dead. But during their time, they were experts in their field. And even though they were experts, they didn't agree on anything. And the same is true about economists today. If anyone's been following the market, you might have heard that the Fed dumped $400 billion of our money into the repo market. This is where different banks and financial institutions loan each other money overnight. Depending on the news that you read, this is either the beginning of a recession or it's just the Fed doing its job. I'm not going to tell you which answer is correct, but my goal today is to inspire you to learn about macroeconomics. The best way to start is to understand what Keynesian economics are about, founded by John Maynard Keynes. Now, this is the most accepted form of economics today. Every politician says that they are Keynesian. And it's based on boom and bust cycles in the market. When we are prosperous, that's a boom cycle. And when we're approaching recession, that's a bust cycle. In Keynesian economics, the goal is for the government to lessen the blow when we get to these bust cycles. And the way that it does it is it regulates business, and the goal is to increase employment. And when we get towards these bust cycles, what the government does is it takes your tax dollars, dumps them into the market to stimulate business, to stimulate spending, and to make us all feel good about the economy so that we get back towards a boom cycle. Now, this creates a lot of debt. And Keynesians understand this, and they say when we get to a boom cycle, we need to pay off that debt. And we do that by raising taxes and cutting spending. But this doesn't happen in real life. Every politician is driven by re-election. So they're happy to spend our money, but they never want to raise those taxes or cut that spending because nobody will vote for them.
It happened once.
What's that?
It happened once in the last 20 years or so when Bush raised taxes after Reagan and he got voted out of office.
Oh, well, there you go. He got voted out of office.
Read my lips.
Yeah. So,
no new taxes.
Bush number 2, just to put this into perspective, increased our debt by $6 trillion. Barack Obama increased our debt by $9 trillion. Donald Trump increased our debt by $4 trillion in 3 years. So how do we fix this? Let me introduce you to the Chicago School of Economics, founded by Milton Friedman. This is a more classical style of economics, and Friedman rejected the Keynesian idea of the government getting into the market. He said, no, the government needs to stay out of the market. And instead of spending all of this money to try to save people, we need to instead give people the economic freedom to spend the fruits of their labor as they see fit. And we do this by cutting taxes. Milton Friedman said one other thing. He said this idea of trying to get complete employment is ridiculous. We are never going to get rid of unemployment. It's never going to happen. So instead, we should just cut taxes. And this is unemployment over the last 70 years. And you'll see the unemployment rate, it fluctuates. But here's what's really interesting. Whenever the unemployment rate gets below 4%, we go into a recession. And this has happened every single time. So Milton Friedman said, no, this is a bad idea. And by the way, we're at 3.7% unemployment today. Now, the Chicago School of Economics has vastly different ideas than the Keynesian School of Economics, but they are both orthodox schools of economics, which means they rely on empirical data and mathematics to form their decisions. Let me introduce you to the Austrian School of Economics, founded by Ludwig von Mises. This is a heterodox school of economics. It's very different than all of the orthodox schools. He rejected the idea of empirical data. He said, no, human beings are unpredictable. We are driven by purpose. This is called praxeology. And he said, instead, use logic and philosophy to make economic decisions. But here's what's interesting. The Austrian School of Economics, even though it's heterodox, it comes to the same conclusions as the Chicago School of Economics, namely, get the government out of the market. Now, I'm not going to tell you which of these schools of economics is the one that you should follow. You should decide that for yourself. But what I would encourage you to do is read a book. Read about Keynesian economics and ask yourself if what we have today is anything like Keynes's vision. Read about the Chicago School of Economics and ask yourself, are there any aspects of that philosophy that we can apply to the economy today to get better results? And read about Austrian economics and ask if we can use philosophy to make economic decisions. If you get educated in all of these schools of economics, two things will happen. First, you will be able to make informed decisions at the voting booth. Second, you will be able to have good conversations with people with whom you disagree. Thank you.